Hello, everyone. You're welcome to Relationships with Adenyke. I'm so excited about this new series that we're going to be having. We're going to be dealing with all sorts of issues about relationships, and I know it's going to be something you're not going to miss. For today's episode, I'm actually quite excited to have with us the senior pastor of Jesus House DC, Pastor Ghandi Olaoye, fondly known as PG. PG, you're welcome to the show today.
How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. Thank you for joining us. Thank you. It's an honor to have you here. One of the reasons why I was really excited to talk to PG is because although so many people know him as the senior pastor of Jesus House DC, a lot of people don't really realize that Pastor Ghandi actually ran for about 8 years a conference called Peculiar People's Singles Conference. This was such a successful conference, and it spanned across America, Africa, Europe, in cities to include London, Abuja, Port Harcourt, Washington, D.C. And over the years, there's so much information that he has garnered that I believe would be of a great benefit to all of us today. So I want to first of all find out from you, Pastor Ghandi, what gave you a passion for singles and to host singles conferences?
That's a question people ask me all the time. I got saved when I was still a single guy. And I know the challenges that I faced as a single person. And it's because of those challenges that I faced was when I became a pastor. One day I believe God laid it upon my heart to say that the challenges you face as a single guy, a lot of single people, both sexes, are facing it. Why don't you go and help them by having all of these conferences? And that's what gave back to it.
Wow. That's quite exciting, and that's the basis of any passion. So let me ask, since today, actually, we're going to be talking about, based on Pastor Ghandi's experiences, what are some of the top 10 things you feel every single should know? Because I'm sure by the time you've had these conferences for over 8 years, you would have noticed a similar trend with a lot of stuff that singles think about. Can you share some of those things that you noticed?
Oh yes, I mean, like you said, we did this for many years and in about 8 different cities. Yeah. And so there are some foundational truths that I believe every single should know, and of course they should learn. Right. And I can share a couple of them with you.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Maybe one of the first one I believe one should is that every single must know that there is a purpose in their life. You know, no one who is here in this world is an accident.
That's true.
There's a reason why God created you. And this is what is going to decide how passionate you are about your singleness and also about your life. And you must also find out where are you from and where are you going in life. What's your purpose? You must be able to ask yourself this question: why did God create me? And why did God put me where I am? What am I in this world for? Then the second thing I believe is that every single must have a vision. I like the topic about vision a lot. Because the thing about vision is that vision simplifies your life. Right. And when I say vision simplifies your life, what it means is that, you know, it tells you what you get attached to and what you get disengaged from. Because you have a vision of where you are going. Right. It makes you to hold on to some things. It also makes you to drop some things. And so it gives you a clear roadmap for life. It gives a clear roadmap for your goals in life and for your future.
Wow.
Then, of course, you still have the third one, which is value.
Right, okay.
You know, value is also very, very important because most people don't know who they are. They don't know what their value is.
Yes.
And if you don't know what your value is, just like the Bible says, you will throw your pearls before the swine. You understand?
Yeah.
Because you don't know who you are. You don't know your value. Right. And so when people are in their singleness, one of the things is that they must invest in themselves and let them become more worthy and have more value about themselves. These 3 things, purpose, vision, and having value, I believe are foundational truths for every single person.
Thank you so much. I think I really like the fact that you put those 3 into a category, because if we look at it, it actually starts with the single person going back to themselves. Because most of the time when we look at singles and they think about relationships, they're typically thinking about getting into relationship with other people. But what you've just said is that you need to start off with yourself. It's the foundation of everything. Yes. I think those are really fantastic points that you've raised. Now, can I just ask a question? If a person says, how do I discover my purpose, or how do I have a vision for my life? What would you be able to tell them?
The first way you discover your purpose, because that's a question people ask all the time, is to see, what am I passionate about? What have I been designed to do? What is, because people say, what's my purpose in life? How do you discover that?
Yes.
What am I passionate about? What is the area of my passion? You know, one of the things you know is that, what am I in this world to fix? And how you know that is that there is something that you see that you don't like.
Right.
It's one of the ways you discover your purpose. Everybody passes it. They don't think about anything about it, but you think there's something wrong with this, I can fix this. It's one of the ways that you know what your purpose is.
That's fantastic.
Yes.
One thing that PG, you always said that always makes me laugh. You said, marriage is like a fort. Those on the inside are trying to get outside. Those on the outside are trying to get inside. Why is it? Why is it? Why is that so?
Yeah, the reason why I say that is that I say that because when you look at singles,
Yes.
they want to get married at all sorts. The way I say it is, it's like a city under siege.
Right.
That the people who are outside says they want to come in.
Yeah.
And the people who are inside, I say, we are tired. Please, we need to go out of this.
Why?
And so, and the reason is very simple. The people who want to go in are excited
Right.
about marriage and what it holds for them. But a lot of people, when they get married, find out that marriage is not a bed of roses.
That's
and like I said, even roses have thorns. And so you find out that most people, when they get married, they are frustrated about their marriage. They have different issues that they are contending. And so at times people feel, oh, what did I do? I feel like getting out of this. So that's why I always say it's like a city under siege. There's a pressure from outside, there's a pressure from inside.
That's so true. I like that analogy. So based on that and seeing what that is, what would you say would be the fourth thing you would tell singles to think about?
Singles must see marriage also as a ministry.
Right. That's a good one.
Not a social club where they gather with their friends and they talk and everybody goes home. It's more of a lifelong thing. It's like a calling, because you must have a feeling that you are called to your spouse, called to serve them, because, and you, both people are believing that I'm here to serve the other, not one serving me, or I'm not serving the other person. So you must see it as a ministry. The word ministry, really, or the word minister, is from the word diakonis, which means to serve. Right. Yeah. So we must always understand that marriage is about serving one another, not one party serving the other. And ministry also, because something about ministry is that ministry is selfless.
That's it.
So if you are going into marriage, you must be selfless.
Yeah.
You're not thinking about yourself. You're thinking about the ultimate good that will be a blessing to everybody. And so in the case of marriage, it's going to be a blessing to you, and it's going to be a blessing to your spouse. Wow,
I so like that analogy, that marriage is not a social club. Because a lot of times what we do find is everyone wants to get married. You don't want to feel as if you're single. All your friends are getting married. You all want to go to the same parties. You want to go to the same places. And there's nothing wrong with that. But when you realize that this is actually a ministry that's going to take a lot out of you, then it's quite important to make sure that you're quite prepared for that. So marriage being a ministry, it's quite an interesting concept that I think a lot of people really need to appreciate. Interesting. What would be the fifth one then?
The fifth one is how to build relationships. Okay. One thing is that a lot of people don't even know what a relationship is. They don't know how to manage a relationship. And why is this important? What I always tell people is that let your spouse be your best friend.
Right, I agree with you.
That is very important.
I agree with that.
And the reason why I say that is that when your spouse is your best friend, I just always tell people, you think about your best friend.
Yes.
Even when he offends you, you will tell your best friend. And then there's a way both of you find of making up.
Yeah, we have resolved.
When you're excited about things, you pick up the phone and call your best friend.
Yes.
When you have any challenges, you pick up the phone and call your best friend.
Yeah.
But the truth of the matter is that people just don't become your best friend. They become your best friend by what they can handle about you. That's how you tell them more.
Yes.
So you find out that a lot of people don't even know how to build relationships.
That's true.
And
yes.
when you can't build relationships, which is a friendly relationship where you can confide in somebody, somebody can confide in you, you can see somebody's nakedness, as the Bible says, and not to be ashamed.
Yes.
So you've got to be able to build a relationship. A lot of people are not able to. So that's what singles must try and do. And you can start this by making, even during your dating and during your courtship,
Yes.
that you become friends to one another.
I like that. You know, I've always believed that as well, that don't just marry someone you love, marry someone that you like. Because it's loving someone and liking someone, you like your friend. Because apart from loving them, you actually enjoy spending time with them. And those are the foundational truths that everyone needs to know. That's very true.
It's important on that also, because, you know, people say, I'm marrying my best friend. And I always ask them, are you really marrying your best friend? Because if you do, that's a very good thing. Because when love wins or wears out, friendship continues.
Kicks in.
It kicks in.
Yes.
You understand? Because when you are friends to one another, you enjoy each other's company.
Yes.
And so you find a lot of people, they say they're in love. It's good to be in love with your friend. That is the person you get married to. It's your friend and it's also your lover. So when love wins, the friendship holds it. And that's why you find out that you can have friendship that goes on for a long time.
Yes.
And then people get married after 1 year, they can't stand one another.
That's
again.
true.
And then you've had friends for 25, 30, 40 years.
Yes.
And people can't stand one another. So let your spouse be your best friend.
I love that. I love that. And like you very well said, when you are then building relationships with your friends, there are natural things with your friends. You learn how to resolve issues, like you said, conflict resolution. You learn how to speak communication. You learn what your friend likes, what they don't like. So you learn things like differences between men and women. So those are very key things. That means having a successful relationship takes time, because you need to spend time to know and to build that friendship.
Marriage is work.
Tell me about it.
You have to put
Tell
a
me
lot
about
of work
it. Yes.
in it. You know, because these are two people. You know, when people are walking up to this, to the altar, those are two histories walking down.
Walking right
the
down.
altar.
Yes.
People coming with their own baggage, with their own background. Two different backgrounds are about to melt together. That melting is work.
Sure is.
It is work. It's a lot of work.
Yes.
Because these are two people who have their own personal idiosyncrasies. These are people who have their own challenges, have their own fears, who have an idea of what the future should be.
Right.
Now you've got to, the Bible says the two shall become one.
Yes.
It looks like a simple statement, but it's a whole lot of work.
A whole lot of work.
It is a lot of work.
Yeah.
But it's achievable.
Yes.
If both of them, I always say, marriage is for reasonable people.
That's right.
You understand? If both of them are reasonable, then it's easier for them to melt together and become one. So marriage is really for reasonable people.
That's true. So singles, you've got to ask yourself, how reasonable can I be with the person I'm thinking of going to a relationship with? I think that's a very important question to ask as your relationship goes on. Wow, these are some really fantastic stuff. Is there anything else you would think of?
What I would say, like number 6, is this living and cleaving.
Living and cleaving.
Yeah, because a lot of people don't leave. And when you don't leave, it becomes difficult for you to cleave. Because living means detaching yourself from whatever you were attached to before, to now join yourself to what you were not joined to before.
Wow.
But most people never detach themselves because they didn't detach their emotions from some people from their parents, some people from their past friendships, from their past relationship. So when you don't fully leave, it's very difficult for you to cleave.
Right.
That's something that's also found out.
That is so simple but so profound. Leave and cleave, because a lot of times, one of the things that I get to do most times is I get to talk to couples, especially those who've been married for maybe the first 2, 3, 4, 5 years. And a lot of times what we tend to see happening is they've celebrated their weddings, they've gotten married, but then their friends' opinions, their parents' opinions, thoughts and images and things that they've seen, and the way other people tell them what they expect them to do, is really what begins to bring conflict into that relationship. And so what you've just said, in other words, live and cleave, is really about setting boundaries in relationships.
Yeah.
What sort of, especially coming from a very cultural perspective, how do you set the boundaries? Sometimes people think they're taking advice that they think should help them. When do you know when you're still emotionally attached, or you need to, at what point do you determine what is important? Should my husband or wife in a marriage be the ultimate person that makes decisions?
Why I said marriage is work is because you've got to study who you are married to. Many people don't study who they are married to. And so you keep going on. If you know who you are married to, it becomes easy for you to know what their likes are and what their dislikes are.
Right.
Because at times what is a boundary to you might not be a boundary to me.
Oh,
That's something we must understand.
That's very true.
Oh yes, because
That's
some
true.
people have no problem with certain things.
Yes.
For example, I remember the situation many years ago of one of our members who, when she got married, she still had a lot of friends who were single.
Right.
In actual fact, out of most of their friends, she was the first one who got married. And so she still liked to hang out and do sleepover with her friends.
Oh,
and the husband said, no,
no more
you can't do
sleepover.
that. And she said, for her, she said, wait a minute, God bless me. So I'm the first one out of the pack that got married.
Yes.
So why can't I still continue to be their friends? I say, for that lady, this is the boundary your husband doesn't want.
Right.
If you don't do something like that, there will continuously be a conflict.
Right.
You don't respect that boundary, I mean.
Right.
You will always have conflict.
Conflict, right.
So for that kind of thing, you know where to set the boundary.
Right, yes.
Individuals also should set boundaries for themselves, because
Yes.
it is good to listen to our parents, but this is not your mama's world.
That's right.
You understand? And the person you are married to is not your dad
That's
that
true.
your mother married. So that's why I said marriage is work. You've got to look at the person you're married to.
Yes.
And that helps you to set boundaries.
Right.
And the things he doesn't like, the things she doesn't like, both of you try to make sure the boundary, because the boundaries are both sides.
That's true. It's on both sides.
Yeah, it's
yes.
on both sides.
Yep.
And it's so difficult. It's not that easy, let me put it like that, for people to do, because like I said, they have history. They have what they've attached to for years.
Yes.
And cutting loose all of a sudden
Can be quite challenging.
can be quite challenging. It doesn't
Amazing.
always happen overnight.
It doesn't. And I think these are some of the realities, that you don't always hear stuff like this. At times we do hear of boundaries, but when it becomes really practical issues, I remember, like you gave this example, I remember a couple that shortly after they got married, the spouse wanted to just travel somewhere as well. And the husband said, sorry, you can't go. She said, why can't I go? And he gave the reason why he felt, at this point, I just don't think you should travel. And the first shock was having a sense of control. So for a lot of gentlemen out there, a lot of single ladies out there as well, being ready for marriage means you really have to be very mature. You really have to know that what you're going into is you live to cleave. And like PG just said, if you want to avoid conflict, you really need to both respect each other's opinions coming to the marriage.
I also want to say something
Yes,
that is
of
very
course.
important.
Yeah.
Arguments wear out love.
Yeah. That's so
and
true.
why I thought about what you said now is the conflict. Because continuous conflict in marriage surely wears out love.
You're so right.
You understand?
Yes.
It wears out love.
It drains the life out of it.
That's it. It drains the life out of it. And nobody says, I like my spouse. They say, why do you like this? Because we just like to have arguments. Nobody likes
Nobody
that.
says
Nobody
that.
says that. Oh, I like
Yes.
my spouse because we are always fighting.
Yes.
We are always quarreling. That's why I like it.
Yep.
So,
Yep.
arguments wear out love.
That's
And
right.
that's one thing most singles must understand.
Yeah.
That you avoid the area of conflict.
Thank you, PG. I'm just having such a blast here. Even just thinking about some of these things and talking about it, there's still so much more. We've just talked about 6 things every single should know before they get married. We have 4 more coming right up after this break.